Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And today I have a very fun little fun fold card for you. And it's using some of the new material and some of the material that we already have. Now this particular design I did as a mystery stamping project with my team, and the original idea came from Tina Zink. Now Tina's in Nova Scotia, Canada, and if you've never watched any of her videos, you should. She's very, very talented stamper. And she came up with this card, and it's a pocket card, and let's just get started. Here is my card, and today I am changing it up a little bit to do it in different colors. So I'm using the hand penned suite, which is coming out in the new catalog, which will be live on May the 4th. So I have a piece of Highland Heather that's 11 by 4 1/4, and this one is scored at 5 1/2, and then it's scored at 1 1/4 from one of the ends. So we need to make sure that that is good and burnished on both of those score lines, and we're ready to go. Then in addition, I have a piece of So Saffron that is 4 by 5 1/4, and a piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5, which is going to layer on top here. And then I have 2 pieces of designer series paper, and this one is 4 inches by 3 1/4, and this one is 1 inch by 4 inches. So, and that's all we need. It's a very simple card and very pretty. The ribbon I'm going to use is one of our new ribbons. This one is called Highland Heather Grosgrain ribbon. So that's the one I'm going to use. Very, very easy card to get put together, and yet this is the way it works. It's actually a pocket card. So this card comes out of here, and you can write your message on it, and it goes right back inside this pocket. Isn't that fun? Now you can, if you'd like, attach a piece of ribbon here so somebody would have a pull tab. I didn't think it was necessary on this, but you sure could do that. So let's see what we need to do here. So the very first thing you need to do is get your card scored properly. Then this piece of designer series paper I thought was so pretty with this beautiful purple flower on it, and we need to just glue that piece down. So let's see, I'm going to add my snail to my card piece, and I'm going to fix it. This is directional, so you want to be careful about that. And fix this so that I'm getting the same border on either side as I am top to bottom here, and putting that down on my card. The next thing I need to do, and I'm going to use Tombow for this, and that is I want to glue this flap down, and I do not want it coming up, so I'm using Tombow, and I'm going to glue that piece down right over the top of my piece of designer series paper. I'm going to hold that in place for a second or two while Tombow gets its grip there, and that should just about do it. And then that is all that I need that glue for. There we go. You could also do that, I suppose, with a couple of glue dots across the top, but Tombow seems to be the one that I feel most comfortable will keep that secure. Then this is another piece of that designer series paper, but in this case I'm going to use the back side, so I cut off a piece that didn't have any of the flowers on it. Less interesting, because I'm going to flip it over and use it here. So I'm going to go ahead and add my seal to the back of that and get that set on my card front. There we go. And those borders should match coming down. Now then, the trick on this one, this card is actually open. If I were to tilt this for you, you'll be able to see it. This is open on both sides, but your card fits neatly in there and nobody can tell. So what we're going to do to close this card is I'm going to use a piece of tear tape. And what I'm going to do is put my tear tape right in the center of my flap here. I'm going to wrap it all the way around my card and fix it so that it's going to come down in the center of my flap coming across and end it just before it meets on this side. And that's because I want to be able to get my release paper off, and if they overlap, that's a little bit tougher. So there I've got just the tiniest gap. And so what I'm going to do is burnish that with a pick tool to one side. Let's see, I'm going to need a silicone mat, because once I pick this tear tape up, that backside is going to get real sticky, and I want to make sure that that just lays down there. Now I'm going to take my ribbon, and I need my ribbon to go all the way around to hide that tear tape on the back, and yet it makes it look like the ribbon is what's holding this closed. And my experience has been that 8 inches of ribbon, especially if this is cut off here, just going to cut that off square, and I'm going to measure 8 inches of ribbon and cut that right here, and that should be just about right. Let's measure and make sure that that will go all the way around our card. Oops, needs to be a little bit longer than that. So let's say 8, about, well, let's cut it 8.5, I guess. Let's see what happens. I'm going to cut this, well, I'm going to cut it 8 3/4 just because I don't want to have to cut yet another one. I can always make it shorter. So this is 8 3/4 inches. I can use that for another project. Comes around, and that's just a tiny bit. It comes right to closure. So I think what we're going to do is lay my ribbon down here like this, then use my poke tool, and you can sure use your pick tool. There we go. I'm going to pick up my tear tape release paper and get rid of that, and then lay this down. And actually I'm going to lay it down so that my closure is more to one side than the other. Lay that down on that piece of ribbon. Bring this piece of ribbon across, and I'm actually going to cut this side just so that it's a little tiny bit short, like that. And then I'm going to bring this ribbon all the way across here, and I've got a tiny gap, which is exactly what I want because I'm going to make a bow. So, and I don't know that this ribbon, well, maybe this ribbon is long enough for me to do that. Let's see if that would work. Oh, very, very tight. Let me see if I can do it. And no, my tail isn't quite long enough. I think I'm going to tie a different bow on the edge of my spool so I make sure I have enough on both sides. And pull that tight. Pull my ribbon ends down. And pull my tails down. Snip this end off. And there I've got a good bow. I'm going to tighten that up just a little bit. And pull my tails down just a hair. There we go. And then I'm going to snip those ends off a little closer. There we go. Now I'm going to place my bow right across here that will cover up my little gap. And I'm going to do that with glue dots. And so I'm going to take my glue dots here and put it on the back side of my bow and get it put right where I want it. And then I'm going to use other glue dots here to anchor the rest of my bow in place. And I want to run right in here because I want that bow to sit down and I want that tail to sit down. So I'm going to continue adding a couple more glue dots until I get this bow laid down here exactly the way I want it. There we go. That bow isn't going any place, and it's now down and firmly in place. All right, all we have to do is add our sentiment. And because of the way this is structured, if you want your sentiment to show outside of the pocket, then it needs to be probably no more tall than about 1 inch so that it shows up here. And I'm using a stamp that says thanks, and I love the font on this. And this one comes from the new hand penned, which is what the paper comes from. And there's my thanks. And I think this is going to end up being a favorite of mine, I can just tell. And I'm going to do that stamping on this, and I'm going to grab a foam mat here, and I'm going to put my thanks right up along that upper edge in, what did I pick out here? Gorgeous Grape, yes, because I want it a little darker. I want to make sure it shows. So I'm going to put this right across here and stamp my thanks in place. There we go. And put my, no, I'm not going to quite put that. Yes, I am. Can't make up my mind what I'm doing here. Okay, so now this piece needs to get layered on my So Saffron piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. And that is going to be the part that makes up my insert. Now, I do want to put some additional stamping down here. And of course, I didn't get my stamping done before I put my card piece down. So I've got a couple of very small Post-it notes that I can put in place here. And then I have this stamp also from hand penned. And I have my black. Everything's outlined in black, so that will work. And I'm going to just ink this up. What I want is my image only to be on the end here. I'm going to stamp that down right there and just get a little piece of that showing. There we go. Oh darn, I didn't get all of it stamped. Let's see if I can fix that by finishing off this flower. Here, I can finish that one off that way. I can come around here and finish that one off that way. I just have to be very careful because that is my black marker. So when I go to color things in, I have to make sure I don't get too much close to that. So I'm going to go ahead and add my light Highland Heather blender pen here and get my flowers colored. And you'll notice that it's more of a watercolor look, so they don't necessarily even go inside the lines or catch the whole of the flower. So I'm really not going to worry about how careful this is done. I think it will work out no matter what I do. And like I said, I just need to be careful on this bottom end that I don't interfere with my black marker or I'm going to be unhappy with the result. And like that. And then I have my garden green, which is what color that is, regular marker. And I'm going to just very carefully add a little bit of that garden green, because this is such a dark color. I don't want to put too much on there. I think that'll work out just beautifully. So there we go, and you really should do your stamping before you put your card together. There we've got our coloring done, and this piece is now dry and ready to go inside. So the only thing we have left to do is figure out how we are going to embellish this. So here's my pocket card, and this piece now slides easily in here and is ready to go. Isn't that pretty? So now we have some of these beautiful new embellishments that go with the new in colors, and I'm thinking we can get away with this beautiful fresh freesia because look how closely it matches the Highland Heather. That is wonderful. So I'm going to do what I did on this one, and I'm going to add 3 pieces right here to the top. And when you have 3 to put on, it's wise to put 1 on either end, and that way you can select the middle and have them perfectly spaced. All right, then I'm going to take a couple of these little ones and put them in place on my card. And maybe one more. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I just think that is such a pretty little card. And I've made another one, which I will share with you if I can put my hands on it. And this is another I made using a different piece of that hand-penned paper. And I'm really very pleased. I didn't get my embellishments put on this one. And maybe on this one I could use the dark green. We'll do that. Put the dark green on here. Again, putting them kind of on the opposite end so that I can tack one right in the middle. And then I'm going to put, boy, am I going to go through these. I just love them. And I could have used the yellow too, or the lighter green would have been pretty too, but I like the contrast of these darker ones. Okay, so there we go. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So that is my project for the day. And this is the one that we made today, and you'll have to tell me what you think. I think it's such a cute little different fold, and yet it's so simple, and I love it. Now, the one that Tina did, she did more of some die cutting and put some pieces on here that were die cut, and you could certainly go through and do all of that, but I decided to leave it be absolutely simple and an easy yet kind of a fun fold project. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And so, let's see, my prize draw for the month is a $60 shopping spree on me. And all you have to do to put yourself in the drawing is to put an order on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net. Order can be of any size. You get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. Also, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Thanks, I appreciate it. And I'll be back soon with more cards, more tips, and more projects. Bye.